Me. I am a memoir. I said a memoir. The meaning of Mariah Carey.
Hello, Lamely. We are back for a big third season of Me. I Am a Memoir. The meaning of Mariah Carey. This is Fab. Please welcome back Posh.
Hello,
darling. Oh, how are you feeling?
Insane.
I am
I'm
very
excited.
We are finally into the shiny chapters.
Yes.
The shiny section of the book.
We're going to need some shade, I find, for all that shine.
I think there'll be so much in all that glitters that there will be all that shade.
All that shade. We're going to have our Pride Shade fan
Oh, yes.
going
I'm very
the whole
excited.
time. The product placement.
We will need it.
Oh, no.
So before we get on with this first chapter, Firecracker, we will need to get some Mimi moments, and that may take us about 2.5 weeks because it's been some time.
Mimi moments. So, actually, not too bad. Mariah's been a little quiet. So
Excellent.
we've got a few tidbits, but nothing too full on. Mariah did do a little TikTok wipe thingy that the kids will understand.
Oh, I did enjoy that.
You saw it was fun. She had a little bit of
Yes.
obsessed flavour in there and her drag persona. Does the drag persona have a name? We know who it's based on. But I didn't think there was a name. But we also got some low whistle moments. Did you notice that at the end?
Yes.
Like, it was whistle, but it was not where she normally goes. I was like, hey, this is something else. This
Yeah.
is dulcet whistle tones.
Yeah, she's quite skilled.
Oh, she does it. She does the thing, doesn't she?
Yeah.
We also had the release of a Christmas in July loot crate boasting some MC festive goodies.
Oh,
I know. There should have been
Christmas in July.
cookies. There should have been cookies.
I ordered KFC the other day, and it came in a Christmas in July box, and I was like,
Did it really?
I did not know this was happening, but I'm on board.
Yeah, I'm here now. Now that it's in my mouth, I'm good.
Now that it's here, give me that sweet Christmas themed potatoes and gravy.
Oh my God. Now, Mariah has also tweeted out love for Britney Spears during this rather horrific conservatorship case, urging her to stay strong. And just a side note, this shit is way more full on than anyone was speculating. Like,
Yeah.
oof,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
a whole moment in and of itself.
It's terrifying.
Mariah has had some fun on Twitter, including answering a tweet that asks lambs to describe their music taste in 4 Mariah songs.
Oh.
Which 4 songs do you think that Mariah would have picked?
Oh, I didn't see this tweet. I
know,
don't
it's
know.
fun. She did
One
a
of
few
them,
replies.
surely she chose a vision of love. No vision.
No vision.
Oh, was there outside?
Yes.
Yes.
That's one.
That's one. Was there petals?
No.
No.
I know. This is it's an interesting bunch.
Was there? I didn't mean to turn you on.
You're so cold is it's definitely a prisoner. And someday
be a prisoner.
it was specifically the Taylor Dane version.
No, please tell me.
All right, so we had Outside, as you guessed, Fantasy, though she didn't say whether remix or otherwise.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it's the ODB.
Yeah, I'd say so. Fly Like a Bird. And
I love Fly Like a Bird.
we've not gotten there yet.
Yes.
And All I Want for Christmas Is You.
Yes.
And Mariah did...
that is the cornerstone of her
Absolutely. It's the
millions.
festive.
Oh, that's the cornerstone of what I've been told was billions.
Billions, I know. And Mariah did say 4's not fair.
No.
So, fair enough. Now, Mariah's Magical Christmas has been nominated for an Emmy for Outstanding Contemporary Makeup.
Amazing. Look, the makeup was incredible.
I was just excited
chin
that
black
they're
was applied
yes!
with such precision.
They're acknowledging the chin black.
Literal shade.
Yeah, absolutely.
We just threw shade on her shade.
Roro Diva has taken on a modelling spokesperson type job for Oshkosh Bagosh.
Saw that. How cute.
Just having a little solo moment while sort of embodying the life of her mother. I mean, I think Mariah was like, no, you're too young to model. Oh, it's about me? Okay, darling. You can go. I'll sign the permission slip. But in our lead story, we have more on the Mariah v. Morgan lawsuit.
Morgan.
Oh my goodness.
Lawsuit.
The shade is... And the shade's coming from the other direction. So after Mariah recently came out saying that it's in the public's interest to know of her life, Morgan filed papers saying, quote, "It is particularly ironic to hear Mariah assert that her intention was not to defame me, but rather to inspire troubled youth. This is coming from someone whose public behaviour includes glamorising her excessive drinking and coining the now popular term splash, as well as..." I know. Just wait. I know. As well as other behaviours, which would be in poor taste to mention here. Now, Morgan also pointed out that Mariah could have inspired people by talking about other things in Morgan's life, as we've mentioned, the cerebral palsy, epilepsy, and having one leg shorter than the other. Which all I can think of is Bernadette Peters in Will and Grace, where she's like, "I'm sorry, say that again. I didn't hear you because one of my legs is shorter than the other." I may have been watching that in lockdown. Because another meme moment, we're both in lockdown.
Yeah, we're both in lockdown.
He wrote that these details are conspicuously absent, which makes it clear that inspiration was not on the agenda, and argued that her publishers would hardly be unaware of her contentious and vindictive nature, as she has attacked many entertainment industry icons like Eminem, Madonna, Christina Aguilera, and Jennifer Lopez.
Who? I don't know.
Not sure. It was and regular redacted.
Regular redacted.
This document is iconic. Like
that is. It's like, which lawyer let that go through?
I know. It's just I just can't believe we got Splash in there.
Splash.
And I'm like, what's wrong with that? Like, we love a splash. What are you talking about?
Splash. Had a drink. I'm fine for a splash.
But I think if you can remember, it's time for a little recap.
I can remember.
Okay, good. I don't. How about a recap? A recap. Would you like a
all right. Mariah went over Tommy Mottola's head to the big boss at Sony in Japan. Then she quickly pumped out the album Rainbow, a couple of best ofs, and had a sing with Whitney Houston.
Bobby Brown was there, but that's none of Mariah's business.
No. I mean, she made some videos. She recorded with Diane Warren. Like, there was a lot going on. It was a busy old chapter.
It was.
But the gist of it was that.
What about the gist of this chapter? The gist.
Well, this gist. This gist.
Why did we both go there?
Centrifugal motion.
Oh my god.
So this gist, Mariah gets a record-breaking record deal, makes the movie Glitter, and gets sabotaged by Tommy Mottola and another female entertainer.
There's just so much. I'm so excited. There's a whole you don't. Fab doesn't know what's coming, but there is a breakdown to break all breakdowns, darling.
I'm so excited.
So let's do that.
Let's break it on down.
Break me on down. So we are up to part 3. All that glitters. We're actually there. I've been able to change the little title on my note file document. And we are hitting up Firecracker. Now we start with a quote from Irv Gotti that says,
"Firecracker, you got the best of me." Is that's that song, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. And what did I send back to you? Lover boy, what you get is what you see. That song.
I don't know what that is.
Haven't heard that song? So no, we start with a quote from Irv Gotti. He's already gone, and we will touch more on who that is shortly. But
can I tell you, audiobook? It is the actual quote.
Is it really? Yes.
It is Irv Gotti.
I will
realness.
say, I was very jealous of this chapter
Gotti
that you got to
realness.
listen because I feel like, yeah. So
I like this chapter is worth the price of the audiobook alone.
Okay. All right. So, Irv is saying he knows just what. Fuck. See, I'm gone. He knows we did this shit with Mariah, and he's trying to fuck with Mariah.
Oh.
Now, Mariah states that the making of Glitter was a collision of bad luck, bad timing, and sabotage. Sabotage. So the initial work on the project Glitter started in 1997 when Mariah was born, but that was delayed due to her obligations to Columbia Records and teething. No. While Mariah had control over the soundtrack, her control over the film was virtually non-existent.
Yeah.
So she was working on a
You can
script.
tell.
She was working on the script with Kate Lania, I don't know, something. Lania from of What's Love Got to Do with It fame, the Tina Turner biopic.
One of the best
which we
music
love.
biopics of all time.
Is it Angela Bassett? Am I making that up?
Angela Bassett, yes. Yeah. Lawrence Fishburne.
Angela Bassett-Thwaite.
Angela Bassett-Thwaite. Angela Bassett, like, seriously, you know, all of these biopics have like an origin of a big song moment.
Yeah.
The Nutbush in that film has scarred me for life.
Oh, really? It's been a long... I saw it when I was a kid, so I need to go back.
It is not okay.
Oh, really?
It's a very horrific scene, and now every time I see a bunch of drunk mums doing the Nutbush at a wedding, I'm like, no, it's not okay.
A quick side note with no side eye. I had this conversation with my sister, making sure that she's taught my nephew the Nutbush because it's an Australian icon, and the discovery that people outside of Australia don't know the Nutbush. Like
nobody outside, we are the only people who do the Nutbush at a wedding.
So seriously, if you are one of our US listeners, look up the Nutbush dance. Yeah. It's a line dance from sort of when was it, 80s, 90s that it sort of took over. It was taught in schools. That's how popular.
Reason.
Yeah. Because, and if literally even now you hear it at a wedding, you stop whatever you're doing and you run. You run.
Knees up. Church house, gin house, left knee, schoolhouse, outhouse. Turn to the left.
I know.
Highway number 19. There's my name.
I need to know if Tina knows about this.
She'd be horrified.
Oh my God, no, it is pretty...
If that scene
very
from
white.
the movie is true, she would want nothing to do with the Nutbush ever again.
It's a very white dance too.
It is the whitest of white dances.
Yeah.
Jumping jacks without your hands over your head, and then turn.
Yeah. And then do it again for 3.5 minutes.
Schoolhouse, outhouse.
So, aside from Kate, we also had Mariah working with the acting coach that is seemingly unnamed. But the studio kept... I don't know if it was her. Let's say it was her.
I think it's a different acting coach.
It'd be funny if it was her, though. But the studio kept sending notes. Now, of course, the studio was Columbia. So I wrote Columbia Records. That's not what it was.
No,
it was
Columbia Pictures.
Yes, that's the one, which was owned by Sony. Yeah. Now, Tommy was the white elephant in the room, and anything that could be deemed R-rated or, God forbid, PG had to go, darlings. So the changes were daily. No one knew what was happening. Mariah had envisioned Terrence Howard as the lead, and I've just written turn Terrence all the way up.
Turn Beasley all the way down.
And FYI, this was before Hustle and Flow. Thank you very much.
It was.
Now, I was surprised that Mariah referred to anyone but herself as the lead, just quietly. But I think that may have been a misprint. You know, they fucked that up.
The non-Mariah lead.
Yeah, the one that's not me. The way down, not even on the poster.
Yeah.
Now, Mariah suspects that Terrence wasn't cast because he was, quote, blacker than her, even though she states he was actually mixed race. But this is no shade to Max Beasley, darling. Oh. No shade. We don't want no drama. We're not having the games.
He's quite good because I didn't know he was British.
That's always a sign of a good actor, like Matthew Rhys.
Matthew Rhys, he's Welsh.
I know, so unexpected. know it.
If you want to see some terrible accent work, check out Vince Colosimo who's in the first couple of episodes of Boston Legal. He was meant to be a regular, and it's like, oh no.
Well, it's like, I think John Lithgow did an Australian accent once, and he is a brilliant actor, but he should not do an Australian accent.
No. People think they can, and they can't.
No, they can't. And they all think that a different British accent is an Australian accent. I'm like, no, it's just a different British accent.
That's because I did a gig in LA once, and this woman came up to me, who I thought was Kirsten Dunst until I got up close.
And it was Billy Corgan?
Yeah.
It was Billy Corgan in a wig.
And she's like, I loved you. I love Brit humor. I'm like, okay, no.
Nope.
No.
I don't know how.
Other side of the world. Different colony.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. So Mariah did feel that her acting coach was getting in the way, having become too invested in Mariah's career and projecting her personal shit onto her, like Marilyn and Paula Strasberg. Now, are you across the Paula the Strasberg?
No. I'm not across the Marilyn business.
This is
I didn't
interesting.
even know she had an acting coach.
She acted?
That was acting?
She was half the actor I was. So I Googled, and
Excellent.
Paula Strasberg was born Pearl Miller and did a little Broadway.
A little Broadway.
I
did a lot of Broadway. The whole chorus line of 42nd Street.
Oh, Lord.
I don't know who this character is.
Ouch. It's, what's his name?
One at a time.
What's his name from Mrs. Doubtfire, the brother?
For McHugh. I'll be biased.
Yeah.
Who was in Hairspray.
Yes. So this Paula Strasberg ended up marrying Lee Strasberg, who was an actor-director. And then she was blacklisted for being a communist. Yay.
Oh.
So she was Marilyn's acting coach in the last few years of her life, though I did find out that she replaced Natasha Lytess, by the look of it, who was Marilyn's previous acting coach, who became rather obsessed with her. So I'm wondering if that gag lends itself more to Natasha rather than Paula, as I didn't come across anything about Paula being a little too much. But then again, Mariah would know more than I.
Mariah knows all of the Marilyn business.
And just any topic, really.
Yeah. That's
so
true.
I'm not saying
but
that
she's
Mariah's
especially
wrong.
Marilyn focused.
But it's probably a misprint similar to the lead issue that we had before.
Blaming the misprints. Yeah. Oh, it's a typo.
It's got to be.
Typo.
Now, that's what J-Lo's publicist said to her. Now, Mariah suggests that...
Who had a publicist? I don't know.
Just you wait until later on. Now, Mariah suggests
I've girded my loin.
Oh, my God. Mariah suggests that glitter became an ego fest. I can hardly imagine, darlings. Mariah just wanted to show...
But not her ego.
No.
That other woman.
Yeah. Paula Yates. She wanted to show... Whatever. She wanted to show that she was dedicated so that everyone on set would see that she was serious about being there. And although it wasn't an easy time, she did feel that she gave good performances, which would have been more evident with different edits.
Yeah. There's one scene that I'm like, this is not the director. Mariah has chosen this. There is a scene where she's blowing her nose with a full roll of toilet paper, and I'm like, Mariah thinks that's real, and I'm into it. I'm into it.
We were not a well-off family, and we could only have tissues or toilet paper, and often it was toilet paper. So I can kind of relate.
Yeah.
It
was just one of those moments I was like, oh, I love this. This is real Mariah. This is Mariah, warts and all. I've got toilet paper to wipe my nose with. That's how real I am. That's probably...
How real?
I'm not sure. Not very.
That's an interesting turn of phrase.
Sure. Just giving toilet paper realness. But yeah, it's one of those things like you go, like that scene with the toilet paper in the movie is the one that made me go, oh, this was a more gritty movie at one point, and this is all she's been allowed to hold on to.
I know. The toilet paper scene.
I'm holding on to my toilet paper. That's real. Whatever that means.
That does remind me, when I was only 5 or 6, I was doing my first tap dance performance, and everyone kept saying that it was time for the teacher's solo, and her name was Rowena. So it's Rowena's solo, and I kept thinking about the drink solo because I was 5. I was like, what is she like? Is she going out there and dancing like dressed as a yellow can? I don't know, but she was dancing to "You Are Not Alone" by Michael Jackson. So it was very 90s.
Very 90s.
Very 90s.
I went to tap lessons once, and then my dad was horrified, and I wasn't allowed to go again.
Aw, rude.
I know.
Well,
I was also not allowed to go to football training because
you were wearing your tap shoes.
No, I was skipping. And I ran away from the ball.
Yeah.
Oh, it's going to hit me in the face. I'm going that way.
Yeah. I probably still do that while doing a time step. So at this point, we meet Danny Jansen, one of Hollywood's original broads, whose Oscar parties were legendary.
Yes.
Not a word Mariah throws around haphazardly.
Frank Sinatra. Called her
Sinatra,
one of
legendary.
Hollywood's original broads.
Absolutely. So one must be invited to these parties. So people like Oprah and Quincy Jones and Babs. I love that she felt the need to elaborate on who Babs was.
Barbara Streisand in brackets.
Just, yes.
There are so many amazing things in brackets in this chapter.
I know. But on top of these legends, there are some fresh faces. So naturally, a fresh-faced 12-year-old Mariah was invited. And one of the hottest leading men at the time, a 2-time Academy Award winner, whom Mariah can't say his name because Danny had a strict don't ask, don't tell rule.
In brackets, no networking. No
networking. I think there was even some asterisks. But this actor told Mariah at the party not to give up and don't let all that shit get to her. He's been there. He gets it. Yeah. Now, I went
said
and
she did good work.
Did good work.
Yeah.
So I did a little research, as I like to do, and I have found anyone who had at least 2 Academy Awards in the year 2001. So we had Jack Nicholson.
It would have been after 2001 because that's the year.
Yeah, around
out.
then.
So, yeah.
And they can't have. They had to be alive then. They couldn't die before it. So just to be clear. So I narrowed it down to Jack Nicholson, Marlon Brando, Denzel, Robert De Niro, Dustin Hoffman, Michael Caine, Tom Hanks, Gene Hackman, Kevin Spacey, and of course Sally Field. So on that second last one, Kevin Spacey, I did write in brackets. Maybe Danny didn't really have a rule. And we just omitted it for a reason. Yeah. Now, Mariah does go on to say that much of what went wrong with Glitter led back to Tommy. Mm-hmm. He didn't want it to appear that she could succeed without him. So he even started to mess with the soundtrack. So Mariah had worked with Eric Benet, Debrat, and even Rick James, who required a white suit, a white limo, and perhaps some other white accoutrements.
Another, in brackets, bit of gold. Everything. Like, I want to do a performance art piece where I just read out the bits in brackets from this chapter.
Yeah. And then and sing the other bits. Now, I did, at first, because I'm a little unaware of certain things. I'm a little naive in moments, but I did track it down to, it's either cocaine or Sally Field. So... Sally's getting a red hot ride in this chapter.
Hit Lisa!
So, with all of this, Mariah was very pleased. It is what she'd wanted for so long in just all of this happening and coming together.
Yeah.
But don't get her wrong, Glitter was no cat on a hot tin roof, which frankly pales in comparison. But it didn't deserve all the shit that it got.
That's
Mariah,
true.
She feels that had they been better able to execute it, that it would have come off much better.
There's a good movie in there.
Absolutely, it's called Crossroads, starring Britney Spears.
Oh, don't.
I think the difference there. I mean, did you know that was written by Shonda Rhimes?
Yes.
Crazy. I think the difference there is that at least got to be the movie that it wanted to be.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It was a teen.
It was never trying to be anything else.
Exactly. Now, Tommy would not be satisfied until Mariah failed.
She must fail.
She must fail.
She must fail without me.
He used to say, you do what you do, and then I do my magic.
This bit hurt me.
And he'd basically rather that Mariah... he'd rather trash Mariah than expose his non-magical talents. Now, Mariah says he was also pissed that she had negotiated the largest cash record deal to date, and her family knew, but more on that later.
Oh.
Dying.
The ATM is on.
Oh, my God. That wig. She's getting the wig glue out. Plus, on top of all of this, how very dare she make a movie, which he was strictly forbidden. You know,
I know.
No, you can't do that.
No movies, please.
So, meanwhile, so this is all happening, but meanwhile, the new label were losing their minds because Loverboy only came in at number 2 on the charts, not number 1. And Mariah didn't understand the panic because she'd always found a number 2 just as satisfying as a number 1.
I know.
I mean, who does it?
Hero was originally a number 2 before she recorded it.
Absolutely.
A number 2 for Gloria.
Gloria.
A steaming number 2, parcelled up for Gloria, that Mariah went, oh, all right, I'll polish it up, I'll roll it in glitter, and I'll make it a number 1. Whatever.
Right. See, and it comes full circle. We're back to glitter. It's at this point that comes the sabotage.
Sabotage, come in and get me.
I was singing something to Ex-Girlfriend the other day. I can't remember what it was, though.
Posh Nubses. Posh Nubses.
So, Mariah had written Loverboy working with Clark Kent to get the sample of Firecracker by Yellow Magic Orchestra. Insiders on the movie loved it, and this was noticed by Sony and their spies. Cue the Get Smart squeals. After hearing this song...
Lesbianage. I don't know why they're involved.
Alan and Katie are just chilling in the corner.
Hanging around. I've got to tell Tommy.
So, after hearing the song using the same sample Mariah had used, Sony rushed to make a single for another female entertainer on their label, whom Mariah doesn't know.
In brackets, whom I don't know.
Oh my God.
And I love, and spies is in brackets.
Spies
So
also.
much gold in the brackets, Mariah.
The brackets.
Chapter. Oh.
So they used the Firecracker sample
Whom
whom she doesn't know, and released it before Loverboy. Ja Rule had also written a song with Mariah, and the next thing, Tommy called his manager, Irv Gotti, asking him and Ja to collaborate on a duet for the same female entertainer's record. Irv discussed this in an interview that was quoted in the book, and I've just written in brackets, though still totally went ahead with it.
Look,
Interesting.
Jar's got some bills to pay, mate.
We're gonna. Don't worry. I have a whole posh synopsis on. It's actually more. It's a court case, is what it is, and we're gonna dive deep.
Oh, hello.
Yeah. So Mariah had to rush to swap the sample out for Cameo's Candy, and supposedly Debrat pretty much says it all in her blistering and very real rap on the Loverboy remix.
Yes, this is so much more full on than brackets is italics. Real.
That's true. Do you have the rap in front of you? Would you like to read it to us?
Hate on me as much as you want to. You can't do what the fuck I do. Bitches be emulating me daily. Hate on me as much as you want to. You can't be who the fuck I be. Bitches be imitating me a baby.
And that was the Loverboy remix by Julie Andrews.
Hate on me as much as you want to. You can't do what the fuck I do.
What is it you
Bitches
can't
be
do?
Emulating me daily. Hate on me much as you want to. You can't be who the fuck I be. Bitches be imitating me, baby. There you go.
What is it you can't do?
What is it, Maria? You can't face it. I can't face it again. Yeah.
That was beautiful. Thank you.
I've had emulating me daily stuck in my head for the last 2 days.
Have you really?
Because she just plays the song. Like, like not even like ODB where it's just pulled from the track. It's like, the whole track, everything. It's just all in there.
Yeah. Siri, play Loverboy remix by Julie Andrews. So despite all of this drama and the games, Mariah did have a really good time with the track, but the good times were about to turn real bad.
Oh, real again. What is she telling us with that?
I don't know. It's like Morse code.
Real.
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 So this is where shit's gonna
Italics.
get.
This is the other thing. All of this shade, I'm only just, because I've got the book in front of me now as we're going through it. I did not know all of this was in brackets because...
Sure, because you listened.
I listened to it,
Yeah.
but you can hear the bracket.
I'm so excited to hear the bracket.
I can't wait for you to hear whom I don't know.
I know, I'm so excited. So normally this is where we finish the chapter, but there's more to break down here. So I have a whole moment. Are you ready?
A moment.
I don't know if it's a posh synopsis. I don't know what this is.
A posh synopsis.
But sing it anyway.
A posh synopsis.
So before we get to the Mariah meatiness, I did a little digging into Loverboy v I'm Real.
Mm-hmm.
So the singles were both released on June 19, 2001, which was
On the
same day. Obviously a calculated move by Sony.
Yeah.
Loverboy peaked at number 2 with I'm Real peaking at number 1.
Oh.
Though seemingly due to the Murder Inc. remix with Ja Rule, which Irv Gotti said he'd been directed to make based on Mariah's If We, also from Glitter.
Yeah.
But for chart purposes, for whatever reason, it was included as the same song, even though they're completely different songs. Now, where things get even more interesting is the release of the albums in respect to the singles. So Loverboy was the first single from the Glitter soundtrack, released in June. Wait, no, is it July? I might have fucked that up. Either way, June, July.
They sound the
same.
Those months, they all look the same.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a remix. And the Glitter soundtrack was released a few months later, as we know, on September 11, 2001. However, J-Lo, the album from which the Firecracker version of I'm Real was featured, was released January 16, 2001, over 6 months before either Loverboy or I'm Real were released as singles. In fact, I'm Real was the third single released from J-Lo, with Love Don't Cost a Thing in November 2000 and Play in March 2001. What is so strange about this is that I'm Real with the Firecracker sample can't have been rushed for release as a single. If it existed on the album for over 6 months, more likely it was rushed onto the album and then held back as a single and calculatingly released the same day as Loverboy.
Mm-hmm.
This does bring up the question, did Sony have I'm Real prepped as a single and then wait to hear Mariah's release date before going ahead with it?
Oh, do you think I'm Real was ready to go as the first single?
Possibly, because they've rushed onto the album and then they sat on it for 6 months.
Yeah.
And suddenly it's released the same day as Loverboy. Like,
yeah,
that's the thing I think people have missed that's even more calculating.
That's not okay.
So, further to this is the question of J-Lo's involvement. According to Irv Gotti, the directions from Tommy were to him and the producers, not to J-Lo herself. Nor does Mariah infer that J-Lo actually had anything to do with it.
Well, she doesn't know her. How would she know?
Well, exactly. Even more interestingly, Diddy, who was dating J-Lo at the time, contributes vocals to the Firecracker version of I'm Real. Did he know about the sample situation? Also,
and lyrics, were they his lesbian spies?
Absolutely, probably. I mean,
I don't know why they're lesbians.
We all know Diddy's lesbians. It's like Charlie's Angels for the 90s.
Yeah. Diddy's lesbianage.
Also, the lyrics to Debrat's verse in Loverboy remix very much seem to be aimed at J-Lo, not Tommy or Sony, with Mariah saying that verse pretty much says it all, implying that J-Lo is the, quote, bitch who is emulating her. Yet, when Mariah has actually... what Mariah has actually said implies much more that it was the doing of Tommy and the higher-ups at Sony. Now, on Watch What Happens Live, when asked about her relationship with Mariah and the possibility of a feud, someone regular said, I don't have a feud against her at all. I know from back in the day, I've read things that she said about me that were not the greatest, but we have never met. We don't know each other.
I don't know her either.
I think it's from word of mouth of things that have happened in the past that I'm not really aware of. But I don't know. I would love to meet her and would love to be friends with her. I think she's incredibly talented and I've always been a fan of hers. It saddens me to hear that anything that's negative because I'm a fan of hers. Now, given all of this information, I have a series of questions for our OG lamb, Fab.
Yes.
Who is neither pro nor nolo.
I don't know, Lo.
To see what conclusions he has come to in the case of Loverboy v I'm Real, which I will take into consideration before delivering my prolo verdict.
Okay.
All right. Question 1. How much, if any, blame do you think should be directed towards J-Lo personally in the use of the Firecracker sample?
In the use of the sample in particular, I probably will say next to nothing because she may not have even sung the vocals on that track herself.
I'm very excited to get to this when we have our little spin-off. Because we're going to break down who did what. Given what we know, do you think that Mariah's shade towards JLo is fair? I feel like Barbara Walters.
Absolutely. I think JLo claiming to not know any of this that was going on, that not a single engineer, Look, the only way she could have no idea is if she had no contact with anyone at Sony Music, i.e. she did not sing on any of those songs.
Do you think...
But seriously, someone would have said something to her. And
I'm not saying anything until I get to my conclusion.
But anyway, yeah. She's not an idiot.
Do you think that at this point, Mariah's shade towards JLo is genuine or more for entertainment?
I think a little of column A, a little of column B.
Okay. I like that.
I honestly think, because looking at the marketing of that album...
Which one?
The Jalo, the she whom we do not know.
It's called Jalee in Australia.
Jalee. She, like the kind of styling and like it all looked like, oh, this was the next Mariah Carey album, but we don't have Mariah Carey on the label anymore, so J-Lo will do. She's an actress. She can perform. She can pretend. She doesn't have the range, but she's got, she's got everything else.
Would you say that, this is a off-the-cuff question, would you say that more than the first album, which had If You've Had My Love and all those songs?
Yeah, I think so. Because it was a bit more kind of look at all my hair and look at all my,
Do you
look at all
think,
my other business.
Do you think that Mariah and JLo were pitted against each other more by the media than each other?
I think by Tommy. I think Tommy did that. He created that situation. Absolutely.
And do you believe that Mariah was in any way threatened by JLo?
Well, not vocally, but, it's kind of... She's like the new bride that has just moved into the old house. Like, the CEO is her ex-husband. And I know she left on her terms, but it's difficult to see the ex-husband utilising...
Ex-husband.
all of your... all of the promotional hardware and armaments that had been used to promote your many albums being used for someone else. So in the same way you get shitty at seeing an ex with someone new, I think
yes.
Mariah would have had those same emotions.
Hashtag emotions. Now, I will present to you the defendants in this case, and I'd like you to give us a guilty or not guilty verdict. Okay. And if guilty, you may bestow a sentence upon them.
Oh, awesome.
So we're starting with Ja Rule. Ja
Rule. Look, I think Ja Rule just went where the money was. I think, if this was a murder case, he'd be getting manslaughter. Okay.
And what's his sentence?
His sentence is to not be called for anything until Pitbull says no.
So I guess he really was guilty. Next one, Irv Gotti.
Oh, Irv knew what was going on, clearly. Yeah. Unless he only just worked that out later. But no, they had 6 months to work that out. No, he knew. He's guilty of negligence.
What's his sentence?
His sentence is to have to spend the rest of his time telling Ja Rule why he's only getting called after people gets rejected.
All right. Next defendant is P. Puff Diddy Daddy Combs.
Oh, mate, he threw a gun out the window. Allegedly. Yeah, there's a lot of culpability there. I think some of the lesbianage was done by him.
Okay.
And his peeps.
Interesting. Simply because it seems Mariah still knows him.
Well, I think they probably are still friends, but it might be negligent. I don't think it was deliberate. I don't think he was going out of his way for the sabotage.
Yeah.
It was oh yeah, I know someone. He said Mariah's using Firecracker. What an awesome sample. Oh really?
Yeah, sure. And what would his sentence be?
His sentence would be he has to go back to her. She who we do know. No.
Well, I mean, she's working her way back around, so.
Yeah.
All right. The next defendant is miscellaneous Sony corporate morgue zombies.
Yeah, all of them. They're all guilty.
All of them?
Yeah.
And what's their punishment?
Their punishment is they have to continue working in their jobs.
Second last defendant is Tommy Mottola.
He's the guiltiest.
Ooh.
The guiltiest. He's the puppet master, the string puller.
What would his sentence be?
His sentence is to be written about with such shade in the best-selling memoir, The Meaning of Mariah Carey. And have us talk about what a douchebag he is.
Allegedly.
I don't know, that knife thing.
That's true.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
And our final defendant please stand up and state your full name? Jennifer Regular, Lynn Lopez, Noah Diddy, Judd Affleck, Anthony Smart, Rodriguez Affleck.
Guilty.
And what is there? What is it? Manslaughter? Is it full blown murder? What?
No, she's a murderer. She's going down. And really bad murder. The kind of like an SVU murder.
Oh my gosh. And what is her sentence?
Her sentence is to remake Made in Manhattan.
I mean, I think it's a highest grossing movie, so I wouldn't be mad.
I know, but Lord, the chemistry between her and Ray Fiennes.
I know. And now the little kid grew up to be a wolf who gets his dick out everywhere.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. And the final question before I deliver my prolo verdict. Which song do you think more successfully uses the Firecracker sample?
Well, it's hard to say because, the cameo version is so in my brain now, and I've only heard it recently, the Firecracker version of Loverboy. But I think if they both came out at the same time and Ja Rule was not involved, I think Loverboy would have had the edge.
It is time for me to deliver my prolo verdict.
Yes.
It's long.
Oh.
So
I'll go to the shop, so I'll be back in a minute.
Yeah, dub some people off. All right. So I mostly place the blame squarely on Tommy's shoulders and the shoulders of those who followed his orders. Mm-hmm. There's no evidence to suggest that J-Lo or Diddy knew anything about it, at least not at the time. Though Irv Gotti should shoulder some blame, and Ja Rule seems to be in a grey area. I also think it's rather indicative of a sexist industry and society that J-Lo gets most of the blame when it seems to have been mostly the work of the men in the corporate morgue. While I understand Mariah's frustrations and possibly even anger at the situation, I think J-Lo's become a target for the shade for comedic purposes as well as simply being the face of the song. As I've said previously, I think it would have wielded similar results with any other female recording artist that Tommy had picked. Mm-hmm. I do not think that Mariah is threatened by J-Lo as a musician at all. No. Though I would argue she could have been threatened by the suggestion that J-Lo could replace her. Yes. And of course, J-Lo's perceived youth by the public.
Even though she's much older.
Much older. This has presented itself.
Who just started singing recently.
Same generation, though, if not the one before. Now, this has presented itself more than once throughout Mariah's career, with Ariana Grande being another example of this. Mm-hmm. With these feuds, quote unquote, often being fueled by the media rather than the artists themselves. Mm-hmm. And I'd argue that Mariah has, on occasion, had a tendency to jump to a conclusion based on what's been filtered through to her rather than what's actually happened.
Maybe.
As for the songs themselves, my belief is that the cameo version of Loverboy is superior to the Firecracker version, while the Firecracker version of I'm Real is superior to the Murder Inc. remix. And when comparing the cameo version of Loverboy to the Firecracker version of I'm Real, I've decided that they both get a B-, and I've always preferred Heartbreaker and Jenny from the Block anyway. In conclusion, I find in favour of both Mariah and J-Lo, ordering Tommy to go fuck himself. But I do find both Mariah and J-Lo guilty of releasing two singles that really aren't the best of either of them, and sentence them to a conversation with each other over a splash to discuss their long and successful careers as women of colour in a tough industry, which could result in a Loverboy/I'm Real remix produced by Mariah and choreographed by J-Lo to show that they are two successful women of different talents but equal value, that are here to break down the feud narrative created by rich, cis, heterosexual white men in the corporate morgue. I'm Real. Bonk, bonk.
Can I have a brief rebuttal?
You can. I just want to add, though, one of the things you said did penetrate, for lack of a better word. If there were evidence, that could change things. And what I mean by that is I do agree. I don't think J-Lo's stupid.
No.
As I said, at the time, they may not have known and maybe found out later. But you're right. They could have known, and that would change things. Unfortunately, that evidence has not been presented to me.
But also, regardless of evidence, like when you put your name and your face on something, then...
And it said Mariah. And then they're like, wait, that's not my name.
It's not my name or my face. That is her hair, but I'll wear it. It looks good on me. When you put your name and your face on something, if you are not 100% across everything that is going under that banner, then you maybe need to... I think you just have to take responsibility for it anyway and go... You need... And I think that's the biggest problem with this, is that Mariah's gone, well, I've heard this happened. If Gotti said that happened. And she's gone, I don't know what happened. It's like, it's your fucking album, mate. What do you mean you don't know what happened?
Yeah.
Like, did you ask anyone? Did you find out? Surely she made some calls and went, is this true? Have you done this? This seems like a bitchy, horrible thing to do that you've put me in the middle of. Instead, she's like, I don't know, which makes me think, you totally know.
And that's the thing. So this is what's interesting, because I agree with that completely, because that's what I'd do. I'd be calling up people, saying what the hell happened. And if I was, to be honest, I think all it would really take is for J-Lo to turn around and say,
I didn't even sing those songs.
I didn't even sing those songs. But I honestly think if she went to Mariah...
They turned Silk all the way down.
I feel like if J-Lo went to Mariah and said, yeah, you know what? This happened.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry. And it shouldn't have happened. And, you know, if I knew then what I know now, etc. I honestly think Mariah would be willing to listen in a similar circumstance as the Ariana Grande. All of a sudden she knows her.
Yeah.
Because Ariana showed her the respect that Mariah would like.
Yeah.
So
and
we're
talking about someone, I know she who shall not be named, Voldemort, was presenting the award at the Oscars. Lodemort. But, I know she'd had a career before, in another field, in two other fields, essentially, before her recording career. Yes. But when she started her recording career, Mariah was the most famous artist in the world.
Sure.
Essentially. And she would have known what she was walking into. Like, I have walked into someone else's job, and I know, I heard every ugly story about every person who worked on the shows that I came in to take over. And there was more than one of them, so it's not the one you think it is. But every ugly story about, when you take over, not necessarily as her position, but when you go into a place that someone used to work at and you're now that person doing that job, everyone tells you. People behave weirdly around you. People treat you like in a way that you're like, I don't understand why you're behaving like that. Oh, that's because of the old one. I get it. So she absolutely would have known. Yeah. There's no way she was oblivious to anything.
And this is what I find interesting as well, because I think because there was a whole album prior, what was the motivation from Tommy there the whole time? Because I think that album came out like 98, 99.
I think what happened, I think it was whoever was going to have a big album next
Yeah.
was going to get the full Mariah treatment. We're gonna promote it the same way we promoted Fantasy, and the same way we promoted Butterfly. We are gonna,
I mean, one of those songs was titled "The Song of the Millennium."
Yeah, we're gonna give it the full Daydream, Music Box, Butterfly album, treatment, and we're gonna throw everything at it. And we don't have to worry about some pesky, annoying singer who insists on writing her own songs. She'll just do what she's told. She's an actress.
I think, but that's honestly, I think that's where the almost confusion sets in, because I agree that on one hand, you think, how could they not know?
Yeah.
On the other hand, what you said just then could also be right. That they're like, well, she's just an actress. We'll just get it in. It's the Kylie Minogue treatment.
Yeah.
Oh, you can kind of sing. Okay, yeah. And we'll do all the rest. Bye, go home.
But I think it's all the publicity and marketing and all of that kind of thing. But like the whole album was kind of, it looked like the next Mariah album.
Yeah, sure.
For all intents and purposes. Like it looked like the one after Rainbow. But I don't think that was the intention with the first one. I think it was just like it could have been her. It could have been anyone. Like, whoever he had on the books. Like if Debbie Gibson was there and she was popular, it would have been her. Like I think Tommy just went, she's actually selling records.
Yeah.
And I know my ex-wife, and this will fuck her over real bad.
Yeah.
Because she can't sing. It's going to hurt even worse that I can make her popular.
And I'm going to make her popular. Yeah. There's a lot of clips where, I think there was one where they said, would you ever do a duet with J-Lo? And she says, I don't even know how that would sound. And then they all start laughing. She goes, no, I just mean I don't know what style that would be. And it's like, oh, she is so good at acting innocent while saying the most horrific shade.
Just the best.
But no, I thought it was just so interesting, and obviously we can speculate.
Yeah.
Till the cows come home. But I did want to, as the known pro-low host, I did want to be clear in saying that I'm not really convinced either way.
Yeah. It is a difficult one because, you go, well, she is an actor and she's very busy doing other things, and maybe she did just pop into the studio and rip off some half-assed vocals that they fixed late.
And I almost wish that she'd tell us. Just tell us.
Yeah.
Like, if you did something shit 20 years ago...
Yeah, but she's never talked about that gun flying out the window either.
That's true.
She's never talked about that time she and Batfleck were caught on tape having a bit of business in the trailer.
Which time?
Oh, apparently one time on a film set they were going for it and they'd foolishly taken their mics with them, and or one of them, and it was still on. And
I don't need to hear either of them.
No
grunting.
No, not okay.
But yes, that I for now. That concludes the case of Loverboy v. I'm Real. There may be more to come.
There probably will.
But I feel like we have thoroughly touched all of the sides. Mariah made it. So that brings us to some Mariah meatiness.
Yeah.
So last chapter, A Visit to the President, I gave that a 9. Fab gave that Themefinity, and the Lamley unanimously gave it Infinity.
Yeah. There's like 8 albums and 400 songs. Like it's so there's so many origin stories as well as a trip to Japan. Like I can't even deal.
So for Firecracker, what score from number 1 to infinity did you give this chapter?
Look, I was bordering on a 9-ish, and then just all the asides, all the little digs, all the, like, just for whom I don't know, on its own, deserves an infinity. Just that little sentence in brackets. Like, that's, yeah.
So it's funny because I'm torn because I gave it a 10 because I thought it's going to get real coming next. Like there was a sense that all this shit ain't over.
Yeah.
But all of what and our discussion of it is pushing me. Maybe it's 10 cusp of infinity.
Cusp of infinity.
Yeah. We'll see. Maybe I'll get back on that one. So I don't know. There's something that tells me that I think it's the mention of the family.
Oh, yeah. There's so much more to come, but I think this is our only word about another female entertainer whom I don't know.
Even the use of the word entertainer.
Oh, don't even.
Like, not even recording artist.
No, that's entertainer. That's coming up. Don't worry. Okay, so now we've got the remix. So I with the remix, I did think it's a little hard to know because of obviously legal things that could have gotten in the way of this. But if at all possible, if I was Mariah, I'd have moved Glitter to another studio and announced a fake date to release Loverboy and then just released it the week before. Yeah, I know, but there's a lot of wheels in motion when that kind of stuff happens.
Not in our scenario.
My remix is, once they start interfering with Glitter, go, all right, I'm holding this story back. I'm just going to do a version of A Star Is Born set in the 80s. Bring it on.
Yeah. I hear that's been done a few times.
Yeah, there's 4 versions of it.
Oh my God.
The original version is in public domain. You can just download it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I know. There's a Judy Garland version. There's a Barbra Streisand version. There's a Gaga version.
Gaga.
Imagine
what
a
if
Mariah
knows
version.
Gaga?
She may know Gaga. I'm not sure.
We can find out. I'll call her.
Yeah, cool.
Can't take that away. Oh, Mariah's lesson. All right, ready for a little "Can Take That Away" Mariah's lesson?
Oh, yeah.
What is your lesson?
Denzel Washington is lovely.
So what is it that gave you that you came to that conclusion?
I think it was the word "the hottest," because looking at that list, there are a lot of really ugly mugs on there. The only one in that...
Sally Field objects.
Oh, no, it was, yeah, Sally Field would object. The only one on that list who I think at that time would have been at that party, because they were a leading man at the time. Yeah. One of the hottest leading men at the time. The only other one is Tom Hanks, who I would not have described as the hottest. Unless you were talking box office performance.
I was thinking she meant box office, but
I think that's what the leading man part was. But yeah, if you meant, sure. And also, I mean, Tom Hanks also has the same thing. Like, he started in a sitcom, so he would have got the same shit. I don't know that Tom Hanks would, like, it just felt like Denzel talking. Yeah. Like when you read the line of dialogue that he said, you were doing some really good stuff in that movie. It was really honest. I had the same shit. Like, just keep going. I'm like, that feels Denzel to me.
Okay.
I felt very Denzel.
Either way, even if it wasn't, it's still a good lesson to know.
Yeah.
That he's nice.
Denzel Washington is lovely. Also, his son is also gorgeous.
Who's his son?
He's in that Tenant.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
Oh,
David
really
Tennant?
Good. Yeah, David Tennant.
Okay. My lesson, aside from all men are bastards, is that you can turn that shit into fertilizer.
Oh, yeah.
Turn that shit into fertilizer. Thank you very much.
She said she's done that a lot.
She's a pro. Not a pro low, just a pro.
Just a pro.
So now we have a little I don't know her, and I'm going to start with the fact that just in general the podcast doesn't know Kevin Spacey.
We don't know. Shush. He doesn't exist.
We weirdly don't know Irvin Ja Rule even. Sorry, weirdly do know Irvin Ja Rule, even though I'd argue that we shouldn't.
Yeah.
But most importantly, Mariah Carey doesn't know her.
No.
Whoever she is,
another
doesn't
female
know her.
entertainer. Yeah.
Don't know her.
Literally. In this chapter, it is literally the I don't know her.
Yeah. I'm really surprised she didn't call it that.
Whom I don't know. I love that it's like, whom I don't know.
Speaking of, we have our Mariah-isms. Mariah-isms. So for the last chapter, we each selected a Mariah-ism and put it to the Lamley to vote for their favourite. The two options were Bobby Brown was around and I don't know what else was going on, but that wasn't my business. Or I've been told it was billions. Now, the winner...
It's always you. I don't know why you have like a run-up to this.
It's a tie.
What?
With one of the highest voter turnouts thus far, 6. So
Plus you put it up 2 minutes before we record this.
I did it 24 hours. I was good. Now, what I was going to say, this does make it hard to know who goes first this week, but I dare say we're going to have the same answer, and I'm kind of okay with that.
Okay.
So I could be wrong, but if we do have the same answer, I don't even think we need to put a vote to it. We will just certify that as the winner. So I'm going to let you say it, but I think...
Are you sure?
If it's not, it's really awkward. All right. Maybe you say the first half and I say the second half.
Does yours start with another female entertainer?
And finishes with whom I don't know.
Just because she can't even bring herself to call her a singer. It is just heaven.
And it ties into what I was saying before about people like Irv, Ja Rule, Diddy. Like, they're all getting at least their names mentioned.
I know.
But again, this is where I think it ties into... the thing I think is funny, the singer part, like not saying singer, that's the shade.
That is the shade.
So that's the entertainer part. That's the shade.
Yeah.
But the whom I don't know, that's the comedy.
Yeah.
Like, she's doing that because it's funny.
Yeah, she knows we
to
are
use the name.
Like, when that appeared in my ears, when I was listening to the audiobook, I may have dropped a very large knife and almost cut my toe off. So it's like, I had to rewind it and listen to it 3 times. God bless Audible.
So, look, I just feel that, there's no need to put this one to a vote.
No.
That's the answer. I did write a couple of special mentions.
Female entertainer on their label.
Whom I don't know.
Another female entertainer. It just sounds like... I think she does cabaret.
Yeah.
I think she might work on a cruise ship. Does she work on a cruise ship? Yeah. She's an entertainer.
Yeah.
She may be a sex worker. I'm not sure. She does some kind of entertainment.
Entertaining.
Lots of men were happy with her. She's entertaining.
Well, I mean, I'm sure Mariah is very entertained when she sings.
Yes.
So... Now, the other little special mention, there was a few that we've already kind of mentioned, like the fertilizer and the more evident with different edits. But I really did quite enjoy, I don't want to slay her, but she prevented me from doing my best work.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, look, there was no competition. So we don't even need to put it to a vote this week, which is fabulous.
Another female entertainer.
Whom... I don't know.
I've been told it was billions. I've been told she's an entertainer.
But this means we have broken it on down, we have momented, and we are almost home.
So next week we are getting deeper into the weeds by the look of it. Resting in Pieces.
Yeah, dramatic.
Yeah. And I think we're only doing the one chapter because it looks like a whole half hour. So that will be next Mariah Monday with heaps more Mimi moments, one would hope.
So many.
I hope she's busy this week because we've covered
that'd be nice.
month's worth. But don't forget, follow us on the Twitter, on the Instadrama, Facebook at Me I Am a Memoir, and as always, you can email us meiamamemoir@gmail.com if you feel the need to write missives. Please give us a rating on your iTunes or wherever you listen to this hot mess.
I will read them out.
Yeah, Posh will absolutely read them out. Yeah. I'm just like, this was such an epic fun chapter.
Oh my God.
I am so spent.
We went to court and everything twice.
We did go to court twice.
Morgan and for a female entertainer.
All right. Until next time. Bye, Lamely.
Bye.